So I'm just going to hold on to this for a little while here. I do want to show you a couple of things. But yeah, what you saw there was turning Randy Rhoads' Jackson guitar into a saxophone. I really like the sound that I can capture from this guitar. I don't know if it's the ebony fretboard. I don't know if it's the Seymour Duncan pickups. I don't know if it's the alder body. Now, that being said, what you saw there was that this guitar became a saxophone. Turned it into a saxophone. And in the background, you see me playing bass guitar. The backing track is just a simple G chord on the bass guitar, plucking it, and I'm using this pedal right here, the Boss multi-overtone. And what else do I have going on? I do think I have the JHS reverb. I'm not going to put it here to show you because when I was doing this, I wasn't really paying attention. I think I just had on the bass guitar was the Boss multi-overtone, and that was it. Now for this guitar here, for getting the saxophone effect, I was using what you see here. My Boss Harmonist, the Attack Decay, the optical compressor, and the JHS octave reverb. Reverb for the violin effect and for the saxophone effect and delays and other modulations, if you want to add, are great if you're trying to be creative and capture something. They're not necessary. They sound just as good without the reverb. Boss Harmonist is great. You can have fun with it. You can pretend you're tuning up your violin and whatnot, as I said, as it's ramping up to get to that peak that you have set it at, that I've set it at. It's the second octave up. Anyways, as I said, you don't really need to have the reverb going on. That's without reverb, and it sounds just as good. You don't really need the reverb. Now, if I do add the reverb to it, it just adds spaciousness. If you're going for a hall sound, if you're going for a church sound, a large auditorium sound, whatever, you know what I mean? That might be just your thing. So you can get, it sounds really decent with it. And like I said, I have a bit of a shimmer. I'm using the JHS octave reverb, so there's a bit of shimmer on the reverb. But it sounds just as good. Sounds good, you know, I mean, but I think it's for certain spots. This effect, the saxophone effect, really wants to be a solo. It really wants to have the spotlight shining on you to take a solo. That's why I kept the bass really simple in the background. Just plucking a chord, waiting. You know, the count is here and there. I didn't try and time it properly. I didn't care about that. I just wanted something going on in the background. Now, if I was to properly make an arrangement of that, then yeah, everything would be in time. But for the sake of this example, I was just plucking the chords in the background because, as I said, you know, this saxophone effect really wants to take center stage, really wants to have the spotlight on it. And I think it does serve that very well. Say you're in a show and instead of taking some grand guitar solo, you go out there, the spotlight on you, and you start doing stuff like... You start doing stuff like that, right? And it's the crowd's like absolutely crazy about it. So in order to achieve this effect, what I did here was use these pedals here. Now, I didn't include the Digitech XP100, the whammy pedal. You know, and if you have a whammy pedal at home, you could try it. But I just want to show you what it sounds like with the whammy pedal, with the reverb and without the reverb. So this is the whammy pedal. I don't know. I don't really like it with the whammy pedal. I find the whammy pedal has a bit of gain to it. It adds some kind of dirt into it, and it's not as clear as with the Boss Harmonist. I find the Boss Harmonist is much clearer, you know, and it sounds more authentic when it comes to violin or when it comes to saxophone effect. Boss Harmonist again. Boss Harmonist doesn't have any of that gain or that dirt that, say, the my pedal, the Digitech XP100 has. So I would rather just like go with the Boss Harmonist, and that's how I captured this effect for doing this. Now, if I want to add, and say, a violin and a cello and a saxophone at the same time, I could have my violin going. And then I could go into my saxophone. And then go back into my violin. You know, and I've split it up between the two effects in this way. My E, A, and D string on my guitar are my saxophone, and my E, B, and G strings are my violin. Now I could get violin on the bass notes, but I can't get a really good high saxophone. I've never heard really extremely high saxophone notes that would be played, let's say, on an E string or a B string. So anyways, that's the saxophone, and this is how to turn your guitar using pedals into a saxophone. These are the pedals here. I should also point out the amp I'm using is behind me on this side here. I'm not using the Tone Master FRF, which is right in front of me here. And I find that it's the amp that I'm using, which is the Hot Rod Deluxe, that tube, that warmth tube sound. And so far, I'm really liking this guitar with it, but I'll do a part 2 of this where we'll do a guitar shootout, and we'll do it with the 2 alder bodies. This is an alder body. The Charvel behind me is an alder body, and we'll do it with the, we'll leave the basswood out of it. We'll leave the gem out of it, and we'll do it with the Epiphone Widow, which is a mahogany body, ebony fretboard, Epiphone pickups. The Charvel has a roasted maple neck, has Fishman Fluence pickups. Yeah, and this one here has Seymour Duncan's maple neck, ebony fretboard, and we'll do a shootout in part 2. But I'm really liking how this guitar actually responds to the sax sound. I think Randy really nailed it when he came up with this idea, because he probably didn't know that you could get a really cool sax sound from this. Anyways, thanks for stopping by. I'll see you guys next time.